Shoot, just thought I'd get on and say what's up to folks. I ain't really have no plan. Want to see how everybody was doing today. Y'all folks going to church? Y'all going to church? See Pastor Jenkins? Pastor Jenkins gonna be there. Deacon Jones. Deacon Jones gonna be there. Ah, these holidays, boy. I remember my mama used to make all of our outfits. She'd dress us all up for Easter and we'd go to church. She'd do the stomp around. You know, my uncle would preach. We'd go all the way to Ohio. We was in Pittsburgh. We'd my mom, she was nuts about my uncle, man. He was a great guy. Both of them are passed on now. They really loved each other. They really, really. As a matter of fact, after my uncle died, I haven't seen that side of my family since. I have no idea how they're doing. They're nothing. I don't call them. I don't talk to them. Nothing. They showed a side that I didn't like, and you know, I don't mess around with people who do shady things. That uncle of mine, he was great. He was a preacher, right? But he was a working preacher. He wasn't one of these preachers that collects all this money from people. His profession was welding. He was a welder, and you know, he would own these little small churches, and he couldn't get it. He wasn't good. He wasn't good at asking for money, and so he'd get some money together, buy a church. The church was shut down because there wasn't a lot of members there, and there wasn't a lot of money that comes in. But he would preach so hard that he would like jump, like he would have on his long, you know, the preach, you know, he had a suit on, then he'd have that preacher's gown, look like you're graduating, and he would just hop across the stage. Boy, he would preach that word. The last church he had was in his basement, and my mom would, you know, when things get real rough, she would pack us all up in a whatever car she had. She would take us to Ohio. We're going to see your uncle. She'd call him up and say, I'm coming to see you. And he would always welcome us. He loved us. Yeah, he loved us. Pastor Pitts. And we'd go up there for a weekend. It was just a good time. And it's, hey, happy Easter. Copper, what's happening, bro? And so where we would sleep at, you know, I'm probably 5 or 6, and where we would sleep at is in my uncle's house. We got to my uncle's house. He would put us upstairs in the attic. So we had little beds upstairs in the attic where we would sleep. And I remember that they had these baby dolls in the attic, and I always thought the dolls were watching me, so I barely got any sleep when I was there. But you know, it was my uncle's house, so you know, he was a spiritually filled man. He loved the Lord, so I didn't think that anything was gonna happen to me. But I'd be looking at them dolls all dang night. I'd be so nervous. Little dolls, man. But my uncle was a great dude, man. So how's your Easter going, Copper? You out here celebrating and Easter eggs and all that nonsense. You got the family out here hunting for some damn eggs that bunnies don't lay. Bunny is a mammal, doesn't lay eggs. In the Old Testament, yeah. Yeah, man. Easter egg hunting. And the gym. Yeah, so you go by a bunch of Old Testament stuff. That's what we did. That's what we did. That's what the Jews did. There's a lot of stuff we don't do today that the Jews did back in the day. Just a lot. If you really, if you look at, if you look in the book of Leviticus, okay. If you look in the book of let's see what you're saying. Jeremiah 31:10. All right, Jeremiah 31:10. Hit me with the scriptures, the scriptures. The scriptures. The old sacrifices. All right, old sacrifice. You trying to reach up in here? Concrete, brother. But there's a lot of stuff we don't do that we did back in the day. Book of Leviticus has a whole bunch of stuff that we don't do with the tithings and the 13 different tithings they had and all the animals that they tithe and all that other stuff. We don't do that stuff anymore. We don't go out door to door and preach like go from place to place and preach like they did in the book of Leviticus. I'm saying we don't do that. And I wonder why we don't do that stuff anymore. You know what I'm saying? I wonder why we don't. I wonder why we don't. I know why I don't go door. People are afraid of me. People approach me with guns, so I'm not. Yeah, very different. That's what I'm saying. I wonder why it's not a practice anymore. Even the Salvation Army. The Salvation Army, that's what they used to do. They used to go around and, oh, you're not here anymore. Okay. Well. I'm going to continue making this music, though. We're supposed to go back to the Old Testament with Moses. Are we though? Because there's a lot in the Old Testament that what God say about changing the law? What did he say about changing the law? Christ talked about this. I should know it better. Not Christ? No, not Christ. Okay, I'm going to do something here. Jeremiah 30. 1 and 10. Jeremiah 30, 1 and 10. No, not Jeremiah 30.
Here's what I found.
Read Jeremiah 30, 1 through 10.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Read Jeremiah 30.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
You heard me, woman. Read Jeremiah 30.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Okay, you're not going to do it. Okay, well then. I don't feel like doing it, but I was hoping that I can get Siri to do it. But Siri's not going to do it. I gotta keep that. Let me remember that. Okay, let's see. I messed it up somewhere. Messed it up, I'm not concentrating. Let me see what else you're saying. Jeremiah is talking to Daniel in the Old Testament and the future. Okay. Isaiah 43, 44, 45. Supposed to sacrifice. You know, okay, so I was thinking about that a couple days ago. Because I was like, why don't we sacrifice animals anymore? And then, when you read the when you look at the New Testament, my answer was right there. Of course, you are about to say, we don't do that. We're not supposed to do that. But it's because the animals were being sacrificed for God to move, for God to do something. So God would say, go and sacrifice a calf, or go and sacrifice, a bird or something. It was always, and it looked like it was in a traditional sense. Like, if we're going to do this, we need to do that. But it was usually God telling somebody to go out and do it. It wasn't so much habit. It was commandment. Okay, I want you to go out and sacrifice, this, and go out and sacrifice that, or go kill these people. You know what I'm saying? So, but when you look at the New Testament talks about how Christ is, the lamb that was slain. So Christ took the place of those sacrifices that, because, God is obviously a God of blood who doesn't need blood, but he looks at blood in a way of that, oh, you're serious. But, you can also, sacrifice, time. You can sacrifice, other products that you have, anything that meant something to you. But usually if you killed something, this had a higher ranking than anything else, especially if it was important to you. Because I was reading in the book of Leviticus and looking at the tithes and looking at the sacrifices that were made and how he told you to do it. There's a whole like when you were sacrificing a bird or a particular bird, there was a whole way that you had to, cut that bird up and sacrifice it. You just couldn't, stick it in the neck and drain it of blood and say, "Here you go, Lord." There was a whole system that God had when it came to sacrificing animals. So, that type of thing. And yeah, so I'll read your comment now. Uh, God is talking in the old. God is talking in the old, not prophets are talking in the future in the Old Testament. Okay, I'm a little bit. Jeremiah is talking to Daniel in the Old Testament and the future. Not quite sure what you mean by that. He's talking about things that are going to happen in the future. Is that what you mean? I like this little beat. And, oh yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, telling them what's going to happen in the future. Yeah, they were prophets, so they could see the future, or the future was revealed to them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The future was revealed to them. I have that same gift. I have the same gift. I've used it before. I've used it on people. I've used it on people. I just told them what was going to happen to them. It's like, this is what's going to happen to you. You know, I've done things like, I used to prophesy in church. I used to go and pray and then go to church and then prophesy. It was something, hearing from God saying, "Thus saith the Lord." And then, and people would interpret it and so on and so forth. It's very enlightening because you're like, wow, God just spoke to me. And then people understood what God said. And sometimes I'm not in a church setting and I've used it and said stuff to people who've sometimes offended me. And I pretty much told them, I said, this is what's going to happen to you. And it happened to them. You know what I mean? It wasn't none of my doing. I said, yeah, this is what's going to happen to you. And then boom, it happened to them. And it isn't because I did something to them. It's because they were being, they were acting in a way that they shouldn't. And they, I was like, okay, well, this is what's going to happen to you. And it happened. And, so prophecy, when someone is prophesying, is what's interesting is like, who is it? Was it Isaiah? Who was the one that died? And then Saul called on the witch, and the witch, uh, did some whatever conjure. Oh, woke the prophet up. The prophet was dead. Woke the prophet up, and Saul asked, "What's gonna?" He asked about the battles, the impending battle they had, and then I don't know what prophet it was, but that prophet was standing in front of him, but he was dead. He had, been dead a minute ago, and he appeared to him as a ghost or a spirit. And then he told him, he said, "You and your sons will be dead tomorrow." He said, "You and your sons will be dead tomorrow." I'm just like, wow, you conjured a prophet up out of the dead, and the prophet prophesied to you. I'm like, yo, like, what is going on here? Like, like, you're, even when you're, dead or asleep, according to God, because you're just asleep according to God. But even when you're asleep, you're still doing the Lord's work. That's what I saw in it. I'm just like, dang, like somebody summoned you and you still have to, you're still doing the Lord's work. He showed up and he was just like, yeah, tomorrow you and all your sons will be dead. And that's exactly what happened. Him and all his sons died the next day. And what he said is, you and all your sons will be with me. So pretty much you'll all be dead. And that's exactly what happened. They went into battle. Him and all his sons died. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Had to do with. I'm fascinated by the story of Epsilon, King David, and that and when King David was a child and Saul the king, and all this other stuff, and just the stuff that King David had to go through ever since he was a child. People have been trying to kill him because they knew he was anointed and just on him. They're just like, we're gonna, just pouncing on him in one way or another. And David had to go and do these extraordinary things, and then people still. It's like if a boy went out and killed a full-grown lion. I just don't think that I would want to mess with that boy. I would have no issues with this individual. And he goes out and he slays a whole giant that was killing other people. Like this was a giant of a person. Like not a normal size individual. This was however big it was. And he kills it with one rock. Like after seeing these things, and then he would play an instrument, and the king's spirit was so bothered by the instrument that he threw a spear at him and tried to kill him. Like, did no. And look, once you see the anointing on someone that much, you should know better than to mess with them. Especially if you were that king, because that king already knew God. That king knew God. The Savior is David? I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I just believe that he was, the bloodline came through David. I don't believe he's the Savior. I believe the bloodline came through him, and that was that, you know. I believe that was that. I believe he was extremely anointed, and I believe, yeah, I believe he extremely anointed. A lot of things that he did, or we are still. I mean, we're still talking about it today. I mean, the Jews, the Jewish, the Russian Caucasians who claim to be Jews over there causing all that trouble. I had a talk with one in the store because I saw him wearing his whatever on his head. And I was like, I just stopped and just started talking to him right in the store. And I said, doesn't the Bible say that, King David was, black? It said that he was ruddy. I mean, his skin was ruddy, and they took it ruddy as in red. I was like, well, that's not true. It's like David was black. And so he got, he was getting offended. He was a short guy, too. He was getting offended, little scrawny dude. And in the end of the conversation, I told him, I said, you are not a Jew. I just looked, I was looking down at him too. I was like, you are not a Jew. And he was pissed. He walked away and then came back yelling at me as if that was going to do something. He's like, you have no right to tell me that blah, blah, I am not a Jew. And I was looking at him and I said, yelling is not going to help your situation. I was like, it's not going to help you. For one, I'm bigger than you are. And I would have, if he would have hit me, I would have crushed him with with every bit of anger in my body, I would have crushed him. You know what I'm saying? I would have smashed his face and happily caught a case. Happily. I would have tore him to bits. And I think he knew that. So he didn't bother to try to come any closer. He made sure he was a good 2 carts away while he was yelling and making a scene. And I just looked at him like, it's not going to help you. You guys did a whole lot. You took over the banking system. Kennedy was trying to stop that. The murders that you guys committed, the atrocities you tried to wipe out my whole lineage. Like they tried to wipe out. I mean, Timbuktu, Mensa, Musa. Egypt is being played by white people. White people are Egyptians now. It's like they can't make up their mind. They control the money. They control the airwaves. They've slaughtered millions and millions of us, and they're still doing it. And I mean, the stuff that the Jewish have done to us is insurmountable. The death toll is just ridiculous, and they're still doing it. They're the ones who control the police. This is why, when COVID-19 was, really enforced, black people they sat around in groups. They got arrested. When one of the Jewish people died, they came out by the thousands and flooded New York City, and not one of them was arrested. They didn't have on masks. They came out and they let us know who the real rulers of the land are. You know what I'm saying? China may own this land, but the real rulers of the land are the Jewish. And they know it. They can park where they want to. They talk to the police like it's like it's nothing. And and make it so bad. And we're talking about Orthodox. So they'll come out and they're black and all this other nonsense. And every now and then, they act like they want to get lippy with black people, except a lot of the killing. I mean, they're the ones who send armies across the world to kill each other. They're the reasons why all these wars are started. You know, but every now and then, one of them will try to get just loud with a black person, and then the black person will shut them down. You know, they'll either put their fist in their face or they'll educate them on who you really are. Like, we know who you really are. We know how you got your money. We know your money is blood money. So don't sit up here and act like you're righteous or any of that. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. And you can hear a lot of those conversations when it comes to the Hebrew Israelites. I'm not down with the Hebrew Israelites because they a lot that's in the Bible they just totally just leave out in order to make their point. Although I do believe that there are quite a few things that they're saying that is correct. I listen to them when it comes to history. There's actually one particular guy I like. He's a little short black guy. I like him a lot, but you don't see him as much because he's an actual historian. And I like history. I didn't know Joan of Arc was actually, uh, uh, I didn't know Joan of Arc's skin was swarthy. She was black. She was a dark skinned person, you know. And I would explain why they killed her off like, what I'm saying? That explains why they killed her off like that. And then made her a saint after they killed her. Like she's not. You took a woman who was blessed by God, and you unrighteously judged her, and then you burned her. You burned her after she won the war for you. And I was, she won the war by setting her cannons up on a hill and firing down at the enemy. But, it, but the reason, and here the thing about Joan of Arc is the reason why they got rid of her is because she kept talking about how she was blessed by God. And according to them, you have to notice, uh, the European way of doing things, they always have to be in a position of power. They don't want to let go of power. So it's either their army that's powerful, or it's their church, and a lot of times it's the army and the church. This is why the Vatican is actually its own state. It is a whole state. The Vatican, boom, it's a state. It's not a city. It's not a. It's a whole state. That little piece of land, which means they govern themselves. You know what I'm saying? But the Pope has been lying to us and been creating chaos and writing the Magna Carta and then sending their soldiers out to, eat people. They actually ate people. In the story of the 1,500 Jews holding back 5,000 Romans, the unorthodox tried to take us and say, we're the ones who did it. We're the white Jews. You guys are Russian as Caucasians. You weren't there. You weren't there. It was black people. It was my people that were there. We were the ones that were fighting against them. And the Romans did break through and they killed like 1.5 million people. And this is why we fled into Egypt. And then when you look at Deuteronomy and the promises in Deuteronomy talking about how our numbers were going to be, like the stars in the sky or the sand on every beach. This is one reason why a lot of stuff is happening to us. Is because our ability to mate and spread in mass numbers has always been a threat. When the Egyptians saw this, the Egyptians decided to enslave us. That's how we went into slavery. The Egyptians saw it and they were just like, no, you're too numerous and you're multiplying way too fast. You're having having babies in large amounts just coming out of one woman, 11, 12 kids, you understand. And this is why I was thinking about this morning, like it is so unnatural for a woman to seek a husband at the age of 30. That's why you have a lot of unhappy black women. It's unnatural for a man to have one wife. It's pretty much there's no way the world is populated by 7 billion people through one man, one wife. It's just not natural. I mean, it's not natural in the animal kingdom, and it's not natural in our kingdom. It's not natural. It's not natural for a woman to seek, a husband at the age of 30. Society created all these stupid laws. There's just a lot of unnatural things that are happening with us, and they're happening to stop us from our seed being spread. Even Benjamin Franklin was talking about this, you know, and this is the reason why Planned Parenthood and Hillary Clinton, that devil, and Bill Clinton and them, were trying to stop our numbers and three strikes are out bull crap and all this other stuff that they made just to stop our numbers, putting all our men in jail, it's putting millions of men in jail. And one person was arguing. They said, "Well, there's more white people in jail than there is black people." I said, "There's more white people that's gone through the jail system than there is black people because there's, 5, 6 times the number of white people. There's 245 million white people to 38 million to 40 million black people. So yeah, you're going to have more white people go through the system, but not for long terms." I said there's more black people that are staying in the jail, which means it's modern day slavery. You know, so when you look at all of these things and who's creating and and who's building all these jails and all this other stuff, it's so daunting just to know that if you step outside that you can be taken to jail just for absolutely nothing, and there's not much you can do about it. If you fight back, you're dead. you know and I just woke up thinking about how there's our situation, how we're in a very unnatural state, how we're in a very unnatural state of mind, and it's all the way we live now is all fabricated. It's all falsely given to us, and the whole system that we're under, the monetary system we're under, is fabricated. Shouldn't have never even been like this. The monetary system that we're under is not meant for you to prosper. That's why student loans is, people can't handle student loans. They just can't. Student loans is one of the biggest tricks in the game. And when you look at, okay, for one, the game of interest. If you go and borrow money, uh, and they say, hey, you can have this much money with a percentage of interest, whatever the percentage amount is on interest. According to the Bible, you're not supposed to do that. This came from the Jewish people. This came from the people who control the banks. Interest. You're not supposed to do that. Even the monetary system itself is just an unnatural way of living. The Indians used a barter system. The Africans used a barter system. Over here, we use a Jewish monetary system, and this system is uh, it, it's it sounds so cheap to say, oh, it's a way to hold you down, but really, what it is it's not so much a way to hold you down and keep you poor, because you can okay, and then when you look at the definition of poor. When you look at someone who's poor, you think of somebody who's homeless, who or somebody who's the working poor, who's medium, minimum wage and things along that line, and scrapping for every dollar. When I look at poor, I look at the frame of mind of what you can and what you cannot do. You know what I'm saying? According to the system that you're living in. So can I go out and find a job that's going to pay me, 40, $50,000 a year? Absolutely, I can do that. Um, can I take that money and then, flip it in some kind of way to, or I can double and triple my income? Absolutely, you can. You can do that. Take it, start buying houses, flip houses, whatever, so on and so forth. You can do that. Now, are there going to be entities in the way that are set up that can slow that process down? Absolutely. The chances of me getting a job as a black man are a lot less than they are for a white person. And that's just it, and that's all. Even for a black woman. Now, you would think guy first, but that's not so. There are more women that are hired than there are men. At the stroke of daylight, 180,000 women lost their job because of COVID-19. Just at the stroke of daylight. So there are more women being hired than there are men. Do men make more money? Yes, but the average man is making in between $23,000 to $41,000 a year. Now, when you look at the cost of living, and that depends on what state you're in, that is not a lot of money. That's not a lot of money. And when you look at how that money is made, so when you look at just the hours that you spend making that money, 8-hour day, so on and so forth, you start to look at what all you can do in an 8-hour day. But if you do not stay within the confines that is placed for you and able to make that money, if you make one mistake, if you look at Sarah wrong, if you come in late, if you, they take this away from you. This is what keeps you poor. It's not the fact that, oh, I want to get up and do this. I have the skills to get up and do this. I can go and do this. No. It's the confines that are set up within the setup that keeps you poor. And uh okay, well, you left. But anyways, things along that line. I'm gonna go ahead and make some music. Nobody's here. But I appreciate you guys stopping by. I really do. Start off with a plug. I need to go back and revisit some of these music so I can start doing stuff with it. matter of fact, I'm done.